In today's story, we're gonna talk about mustaches. For as long as humans have existed, and from the dawn of time, mustaches have existed. A mustache is the most beautiful thing on planet Earth. It comes in all different shapes and different sizes. But not all mustaches are created equal. There are only a select few men who can really rock a mustache. And when they come, great things follow. Our story begins in a modest apartment in Toronto, Canada. A baby boy is born named Aubrey Graham to this amazing mustached man. This mustached man happens to be Dennis Graham, a drummer from Memphis, and this is Aubrey's mother, Sandra, a humble teacher and florist. Aubrey's family on the mustached man's side have an illustrious musical heritage, and this will spark a lifelong flame in young Aubrey, leading him down a path of greatness. By the time Aubrey turns 5, his parents separate, and the mustached man leaves Toronto for Memphis. However, Drake would go to Memphis every summer with the mustached man, and the two maintained a healthy relationship and an even healthier mustache. Meanwhile, in one of the many government-assisted houses in Compton, California, another boy is born to a former street hustler hailing from
Robert Taylor Homes, the largest, most segregated housing project in the Western world.
In Chicago, now working odd jobs, Kenneth Kenny Duckworth, and a hairdresser, Paula Oliver. Kendrick Lamar Duckworth enters the world, born into the hostile world of crack fiends, gang violence, and police brutality. He must learn how to operate in a world that wants him dead or in jail. By the time the little duck hits the age of 5, the Los Angeles riots take place due to the beating of Rodney King and the killing of 15-year-old Latasha Harlins. Aubrey is now 14 and goes by the name Jimmy Brooks. He enrolls to Degrassi High School. While at Degrassi, he makes some friends, one of which ends up capping his ass, and it's all miraculously caught on camera. This leaves little Jimmy in a wheelchair, but Jimmy does not give up, as he decides to have a positive outlook on life and get the fuck out of Degrassi. Jimmy has an identity crisis. He makes his first 2 mixtapes under the name Fake Drake, which garner him a buzz, in turn getting the attention of rapper Lil Wayne. With Lil Wayne's cosign, he decides to finally leave the danger streets of Degrassi and pursue music full time. He then releases his biggest song up to this point, Best I Ever Had, charting at number 2 on the Billboard 100. Meanwhile, the little spends his childhood and adolescence in Bompton, roaming the streets, robbing people, batching fades, all while trying to avoid the gang life, seeing the game for what it is, rigged, with everyone who plays losing. Trying to stay on the straight and narrow, he becomes interested in rap and releases his first mixtape under the name K-Dot, called Youngest in Barge. At age 16, this mixtape bought the attention of Top Dog, who was starting the label Top Dog Entertainment. He released his next 4 mixtapes under TDE, which start garnering him a buzz. His final mixtape, Overly Dedicated, sells 12,000 copies, and he starts working on his first official album.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Drake releases his debut album, Thank Me Later, which has his signature panty-dropping sound, with smooth singing and a baritone rap voice. It has multiple hits and has mass appeal to the ladies. He is not done, however, as he follows up with Take Care, which expands on his panty-dropping ability. It is a more refined sound and has a lot more commercial success. With tracks like Marvin's Room, it even has a spoken word feature from the Little Duck. Drake is the king of emotional raps and melodic singing. He is becoming a certified panty wetter and groupie getter, surely making the mustache man proud. loud, but critics claim Drake is not really a rapper and don't like it.
Now, why don't you like Drake?
I don't like anything about Drake.
But fuck him. Meanwhile, Kendrick releases his debut album, Section 80. This album is themed on its namesake. Kendrick is honing his pen game. He sets the stage for his storytelling ability, but he is not done either, releasing Good Kid, Mad City, which even has a feature with Drake. This album follows the life of a teenage Kendrick, leading to this album being more of a success and having songs which chart. It seems Kendrick understands how to make catchy music with a meaning. Critics hail Kendrick as a musical genius who subverts expectations and can make cohesive albums that sound amazing.
I remember you was conflicted, misusing your influence.
Drake continues winning with Nothing Was the Same, and if you're reading this, it's too late, which was the least Drake-sounding album he has made. Ironically, if you're reading this, It's Too Late is hailed as Drake's best work. He is also moving his image away from a sweet boy into a more tough gangster persona. He also changes his look to reflect his new persona, adding a beard to his repertoire to give a more mature and grizzled appearance. He is starting to deviate from his sound and adapts other styles. He even gets in a beef with fellow rapper and Nicki Minaj's wife, Meek Mills. Meek takes shots at Drake. It seems Meek is upset at Drake for not tweeting his new album. He didn't tweet my album. He exposes the fact that Drake did not write the majority of his new album, and it was actually written by Quentin Miller. Drake lets Meek simmer in silence before dropping a response, and then
Another one.
this sends the internet into a frenzy, and Meek spiraling into the hands of the diddler. For now, Drake is undefeated. Meanwhile, the little duck needs to clear his head and wants perspective, so he goes to South Africa. This made the duck do a 180 from his radio-friendly Good Kid, Mad City, creating a project where he is not tied down to chasing hits, but instead showcases his full creativity with To Pimp a Butterfly, speaking on how systematic racism has prevented blacks from living regular, productive lives, being stuck in projects all around the US, encouraged into consumerism and gangsterism to their own detriment. Many are metaphorically caterpillars who will never become butterflies. Even those who do find themselves exploited, their pain and artistry commodified for the benefit of others. In essence, To Pimp a Butterfly. Kendrick is showing how seriously he takes his artistry, and he is like a monk who meditates and tries to understand his psyche, which define who he is. He wants to make projects which are a reflection of his deepest thoughts. He doesn't merely rap to make money, but wants people to think about their own place in life. But Kendrick is still a student of the game, and is always striving to learn. The two rappers are slowly drifting apart. Their friendly relationship is not so friendly anymore. One rapper is trying to maneuver the industry and find validation, and one is looking within himself to find his own validation. Who will succeed?
We'll return after these messages.
Why God, do I gotta suffer? Pain in my heart, carry burdens full of struggle.
After bodying Meek Mills,
And you deserve it, Daddy.
Drake maintained his position as the most dominant artist in the world. Riding high on his continued success, he releases Views in 2016, an album with massive commercial appeal. Views became a cultural and commercial juggernaut, breaking streaming records and spawning hits like One Dance, Hotline Bling, and Controller. It solidified Drake's global dominance, but the album faced mixed reviews because now, all of a sudden, Drake was a
Real bad man. Trust me, daddy.
A year later, Drake releases More Life, where Drake is now British, Latino, Nigerian. Drake is a big fat mess. He uses people and trends to keep himself relevant, which in itself would be fine, but his constant shifts in persona make it hard to appreciate his contribution to these genres. Drake is in beef with Pusha T, where he reveals,
You are hiding a child.
after this information came to light, poor Drake must have cried himself to sleep. Meanwhile, Kung Fu Kenny releases in 2017. Kenny Kicks Ass is held critically acclaimed and the most influential artist of this generation. The album was a commercial and cultural triumph, smashing More Life, debuting at #1 on the Billboard 200. Kung Fu Kenny even scares the shit out of white people, forcing them to give him the Pulitzer Prize for music, the only hip-hop artist to do so. Damn is a commentary on race, faith, and personal growth, with hits like Humble, DNA, and Love dominating charts and airwaves. Kenny then further expands on these themes in the soundtrack of Black Panther. Both these albums also saw shots being taken at Drake, and unlike Drake, Kendrick was showing versatility by taking influences from other genres of music, but incorporating his own style, staying true to his conceptual and artistic vision. Kendrick then takes a hiatus. His fans are going hungry. They are starved, waiting for new music. He then returns with Mr. Morale and Big Steppers, where he lays himself completely bare, talking about the past, family trauma, and his own shortcomings. He also proclaims he is not hip-hop's savior. His well-being comes first. Drake then releases For All the Dogs, where he has a song called First Person Shooter, taking shots at Kendrick Lamar. However, the two have been going back and forth for years. Kendrick then responds to Drake on his collaboration with Future called Like That.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Shoo! Shoo! Beat, 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 beat!
Drake steps up and is not fucking around, releasing push-ups. He's ready to make light work of everyone who's been speaking bad about him, and there's a lot of them. He also sends shots directly at the fucking duck, claiming Kendrick is a mule for TDE and Top Dog's bitch, and is being worked like a dog. He also calls him short, says he has small feet, and calls him gay with a micro penis. Forget that last bit, I just made that up. Drake then drops Tailor-Made Freestyle, where he impersonates Tupac and Snoop. He shows why he's levels above Kendrick. Everyone is waiting for a response from the duck, but it seems the little duck is not cut out for this beef shit.
I've talked to Drake, and his energy, not one time, not a couple times, it's been every time. I'm ready and waiting, and he got so ready and waiting, he realized Kendrick seen pussy, he dropped first.
Kendrick, you on the clock. Yeah. It's all on Kendrick now. Kendrick has been calling for this. He's been asking for this for several years, and he got what he wanted, so now it's time to show and prove because Drake said,
Oh, Kendrick, he's begging you to drop. The pussy shenanigans is over.
I think it'll happen eventually. Kendrick will respond, but it won't be the battle. It won't be like back and forth.
I don't know. I don't think Kendrick's cooking up. It don't take him 3-4 weeks to I think that's over. It don't take 3 or 4 weeks.
I'm sorry. Drake is like a genre of music, my nigga. Like, you're stuck on an island. Imagine if all you can listen to is all this militant, we gonna be all right, left, right shit. Fuck out of here, nigga.
I think still through all of this, we find out that all of this Candyman, Boogeyman shit that your generation kind of dubbed Kendrick. Y'all just kind of ran and thought that Kendrick was this bully that ran through the industry and nobody wanted to battle.
You rap every 5 years and you come with this bullshit now?
Drake up right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Drake up right now.
Absolutely.
Because Drake took it farther than Kendrick ever had.
Believes that Kendrick Lamar doesn't have a response to the push-ups drop and give me 50 diss that he dropped. And then Drake put, use me as a they have nothing to drop button.
Y'all know what happens on Earth stays on Earth.
Kendrick comes back with his track Euphoria, where he solely takes shots at Drake for 6 minutes straight. He accuses Drake of being a habitual liar, manipulator, a deadbeat dad, and a culture vulture. Kendrick keeps it somewhat friendly by keeping it about Drake and solely Drake. 4 days later, Kendrick releases 616 in LA on Instagram, where he takes even more jabs, insinuating Drake has moles in his label, OVO, and a lot of members of his team do not even like him.
What happened?
And pray for his downfall. On that same day, Drake comes back with Buried Alive Interlude, which no one hears.
Embarrassing!
But is mocking Kendrick's feature on Drake's album Take Care. But Drake is still not done and releases another track with a video on the same day called Family Matters, accusing Kendrick of beating his fiancée, on top of not wanting to marry her after 10 years together, and that his child is actually fathered by one of his best friends, Dave Free. Kendrick fires back immediately with Meet the Grahams, a letter to each member of Drake's family consoling them on having a shitty relative, and that he also has a daughter he's hiding from the world. If you're keeping count, that's 4 tracks in one day. But the beef is still not done, and Kendrick releases Not Like Us, which is the most damning song, accusing Drake of being a certified crocodile, also accusing him of colonizing hip-hop for his own benefit, only using others for their trends and influence. He does this on a typical West Coast beat and makes an anthem out of this diss. The song goes viral, becoming an instant hit, being played at every event you can imagine, the same thing Drake did to Meek Mills. Drake then releases The Heart Part 6, where he claims he is in fact not a certified crocodile, and doesn't have a daughter he's hiding, and he made all of that up to feed it to Kendrick to show how stupid and desperate that fucking duck is. However, Drake sounds dejected, like he doesn't want it anymore. The war is over. Drake got bodied.
Advice and more of a constant reminder.
Like the video.
Which I love him so much for saying this to me.
Comment on the video.
He's always just like, man, please
share this video.
Please don't ever
subscribe to the channel.
Me or anybody else. Don't ever go
get a fucking job, you piece of shit.
You don't have to dress any different, you know, but